Hello, and welcome to our webinar hosted by Enterprise Estonia. My name is Vahur Lepik, and I'm from the Estonian Investment Agency, which is a subdivision of governmental organization named Enterprise Estonia. The aim of this webinar is to strengthen the ties and create new opportunities between Japan and Estonia. We'll start with welcoming words from the Minister of Entrepreneurship and IT, Mr. Sutt. It will be followed by an overview of e-Estonia, and finally, we'll have 3 theme rooms focusing on tourism, exports, and investments. There will be a live Q&A session, so feel free to ask the participants. So let's get started. It's time to experience our country, Estonia, naturally innovative.
Dear friends, ladies and gentlemen, I'm delighted to join the webinar from Estonia and would like to congratulate you all for making it happen digitally. For us in Estonia, doing things digitally has been natural for a while already. For over 25 years, we have been innovating and building new digital solutions, which has made us the most advanced digital society in the world. Today, 99% of our government services are offered digitally. For example, all our taxation and voting in elections can be done securely and digitally online. This is not only convenient for our citizens, but most importantly for the private sector and businesses. That is why Estonia is among the top countries hosting the highest concentration of startups per capita and unicorns. I'm glad to note that according to the OECD, Estonia ranks number 1 for a business-friendly environment, trusted jurisdiction, ease of doing business, and tax competitiveness. But the good news is that our digital ecosystem is not only available to Estonians, but to the whole world. A few years ago, we launched the e-Residency program, which enables anyone in the world to access our digital ecosystem and to register and run a business in the EU from anywhere in the world, completely remotely and online. I invite you to explore the opportunities provided by the e-Residency program further and join the tens of thousands of e-residents in the world already. But our e-Residency team in Japan is also looking for new partners in business development, tax and legal advisory, and startup organizations. Let us know if you are interested in working together with us. But we are not only limited to the digital and IT sector. Estonia also offers high-quality products and services in other sectors like food, electronics, creative industry, and tourism. Estonia has been exporting dairy products to Japan since 2015, and the demand for the products was not even dented by the pandemic, thanks to trusted partnerships and high-quality produce. In the electronics sector, many global manufacturing companies are using Estonian-made components. As a testament towards the appreciation of craftsmanship, both in Japan and Estonia, the export of Estonian wooden houses and wooden construction products has been a long-established trade partnership between our countries. In terms of our business culture, Estonians and Japanese have many similarities. We are both prepared to work hard, value accuracy, detail and deadlines, as well as keeping our promises. The best Estonian companies will be presenting for you today, and I'm confident you will be very satisfied with their products and services. I wish you a great webinar, and let's continue doing business together. Arigato.
皆さんこんにちは。デジタル改革担当大臣の平井拓也です。今日はエンタープライズエストニア主催によるウェビナーの開催、心よりお祝い申し上げたいと思います。私とエストニアのご縁は結構長くてですね、そうですね、もう今まで4回5回、訪問させていただいていると思います。その都度IT 関係のイベントに参加させていただいたり、いろんな方々と意見交換もさせていただいたりしました。現在日本エストニアの友好議員連盟の会長も務めさせていただいておりますし、そんなご縁でエストニアとはもう切っても切れない関係だと私自身は思っています。今我々が力を入れているこのデジタル庁の設計に関しても、またいよいよ日本も多くの国民の理解を得て普及が進んでいるマイナンバーカードも、実は多くのエストニアからのアドバイスがありました。小さな国、日本と比べては人口も少ないんですが、このデジタル化に対する考え方は非常に私は整理されていて、我々にとって大いに参考になるものでありました。同時にデジタル化とは何かということを考える上で、エストニアという国は本当に参考になります。例えば世界遺産のタリンを訪れても、パッと見てそのデジタルっていうものを感じる人はいないと思います。しかし Wi-Fi は快適につながりますし、裏でいろいろなその手続き等々、行政サービスは完璧にデジタル化されているし、高齢者にとっても優しいデジタル化をまさに実践しているのがエストニアだと思います。一方で新しいイノベーションを起こす、そしてスタートアップというに取り組む若い人たち、そしていろいろなものを作るプロトタイプを作っていくエンジニアの皆さん、どれもエストニアには素晴らしいリソースがあります。そういう意味で日本とエストニアの関係がさらに強化されることが、日本のこれからデジタルトランスフォーメーションにも非常に大きなそのプラスになると考えています。エストニアへの投資、これも日本の企業どんどん今進んでいると聞いておりますし、エストニアに拠点を構えてその日本で活躍されている人たちも大勢いらっしゃいます。そういう意味でますますこれから関係が深まることを私も願っています。デジタル改革担当大臣としてカウンターパートであるスット大臣とも今コロナ禍でなかなか直接お会いすることができないんですけれども、協力関係を構築するため私からもいろいろ提案もさせていただきたいというふうに思っておりますし、さらに連携を強化してお互いにプラスになる、そういうそのデジタルプロジェクトもできればとそのように思います。どうか皆さんこのウェビナーでそのお互いの良さを知っていただき、そして力を合わせて 1+1 がもう3、4、5もっと膨れ上がるようなそのデジタルによる連携をしていただければと思います。ウェビナーの成功をお祈り申し上げますとともに、コロナが明けましたら私もエストニアを訪問させていただこうと思っています。おめでとうございました。
Hello, my name is Allan Dobrõš, and I am the Business Development Manager at the e-Estonia Briefing Center. The e-Estonia Briefing Center is a knowledge hub for everything e-government related in Estonia. Today, I will share with you how Estonia became the most advanced digital society in the world. So let's start with the background of the country. Estonia is a rather small country. The population is only 1.3 million people. But the land area actually is not so small compared to many other European countries. For example, we are larger than Denmark, Belgium, the Netherlands, Switzerland. But all those countries have 10 to 15 times more people. So our government realized that they cannot build same public services as these countries, and we had to do something different. So in the 1990s, when we regained independence, our government was really digitally minded, a very brave and young government, and they realized that they need to do something different. So they set their sights on a digital transformation. It was a very risky move because although internet was growing in the 90s already, then most people didn't have a personal computer. But also our government didn't have any money to build administration. So luckily we had innovation in the private sector. For example, our banks were already building up-to-date online banking in the 90s. So our government reached out to the private sector for innovation. And another good thing that we had for us was that we didn't have any legacy like many of the other countries have. So Estonia could build everything from a clean slate. Here is a timeline of how the e-government was built in Estonia. As you can see, we did not build everything at once. We started with one service, that was the tax declaration in the year 2000. So we wanted to have a service that the people would have incentive to use, for them to try out online world, and if they liked it, they would continue to use other services. So the tax declaration is a very good service because all the people have to do their taxes every year, and in Estonia, many people get tax deductions, which means that they had a motivation to carry out their tax declaration to get the money back quickly. So in 2000, when the tax declaration went online, then people started using it. And after people get adapted to online, then the government can start building new services. So we didn't do it all at once. We did it step by step. So as you can see, in 2001, we introduced the XRoad, which is a foundation of the data exchange in the government. In 2002, we introduced the electronic ID and also the digital signature. This is very crucial in Estonia because the digital signature saves up to 2% of the GDP every year. I have to tell you honestly that I cannot remember when was the last time that I went to an office and signed a document on paper. In 2003, we introduced the state portal. The state portal is a gateway for citizens to get access to all government services. But also, this is a place where the citizens can see who has looked at their data, and this increases transparency. And our famous i-voting was introduced in 2005, when people were already used to many other services online. Now, let's move on to the XRoad. As I mentioned, XRoad is the foundation of our e-government, because this is the data highway. XRoad is an open source data exchange layer, and it's this decentralized network of different registries, entities, organizations. So in Estonia, we have this policy called once only. Once only means that the government has only the right to ask for my information once, and this information is stored only in one place. Let's give you an example. My home address. When I move, my home address, I will only notify the population register because they are the ones who are keeping my new home address. If another organization needs my home address, then they will not ask from me, but they will turn to the population register over the XRoad. The XRoad works on the public internet, and the data exchange is encrypted. And so because this data exchange is encrypted, because all the data is spread around in many different registries, this makes it secure. And we got the proof of concept in 2007 when Estonia faced a nationwide cyber attack. And thanks to this decentralized network, our data was not compromised. So there are more than 3,000 services currently connected to the XRoad. The XRoad can be expanded indefinitely. It encompasses both the private and public sector services. The only thing is that there needs to be a use case to exchange data, and there needs to be a secure infrastructure. So let's take an example. If the tax board needs my home address, then they will ask from the population registry, like you can see right here. But also with the private sector, if I need to apply for a student loan, then I will just log in to the bank, and the bank already asks for my home address from the population register. I do not have to fulfill any data about myself to the bank, because they can ask it over the XRoad. So, as you can see, there are more than 1.3 billion transactions every year happening on this data highway. And the interesting thing is that most of the transactions are not carried out by humans. 97% of the transactions are carried out by machines, computers, because the systems have been built to be so automatic that humans do not need to make the requests. The application process itself already makes the request to the correct registry in the background. And this technology has also been exported to many other countries, such as Finland, Iceland, the Faroe Islands, Ukraine, Namibia, and so on. Now, I want to talk about another cornerstone of our digital society. So this is the electronic identity that we introduced in 2002. In 2002, we introduced the electronic ID card, and unlike many other countries who already had the card, we made this card compulsory to all grown-ups. And this was a good decision, because when we started building the e-solutions, then we had the audience and the user base who could actually access the services online thanks to this card. So this card has a chip on it, and there are 2 PIN codes. PIN 1 is for my authentication online, and the PIN 2 is for digital signature. So we also think about user friendliness, and although 70% of people use this ID card, we also have different carriers for our digital ID. For example, you can also use the digital ID on your mobile, which is called mobile ID. It's a SIM card-based. And you can also use an app-based smart ID. So the principle regarding e-ID in Estonia is that in order to have a secure electronic identity, there has to be something that you have, which is the card, the SIM card, and something that you know, which is the PIN codes in my head. E-Residency, it's another form of digital identity. Estonia was the first in the world to offer e-residency to residents who are not Estonian. So in 2014, we started this program, and now we already have e-residents from more than 160 countries, and also 70,000 plus e-residents. The e-residents have started more than 13,000 companies in Estonia and have paid more than 31 million euros of tax revenue to Estonia. So basically, the e-residency allows you to start and manage a company in Estonia remotely. This is an access to Estonian digital ecosystem. When we first thought about e-residency, we thought it would be useful for residents outside the EU to start an EU company. But what we found out is actually a lot of EU citizens are also e-residents of Estonia, just because setting up a company in their own EU country is too much bureaucracy, and they would rather do it in Estonia. So, almost 99% of government services are online in Estonia already. So you might think that we are done, there is nowhere to go further. But this is not the case, because we are constantly innovating. I want to tell you more about some of the plans that we have for the future. Some of them are already ongoing. So, proactive government. As you know by now, Estonians can use government services online, basically any service from anywhere they are. But we want to take this a step further. We want to offer the citizens services before they even know that they have a need for it. I will give you an example. So, in Estonia, child benefits are universal for all parents for a child that is underage. When a child is born in an Estonian hospital, then the child is given a personal code, and the parents also have a personal code. This personal code is universal for all services, and this is unique. Every person in Estonia has one unique personal code. So the child's personal code is connected to the parent's personal code, and then the state already knows that there are two new parents who have a new child. And what the state can do proactively is that the state will contact the parents and ask them, where do you want to have your child benefits, which bank account? The parents do not have to apply it for themselves. They might be too distracted, during the first months of the baby's birth. So this is, as you can see, a proactive approach from our government. Another example is AI. AI is, of course, the buzzword that you hear everywhere. But in Estonia, with the government services, actually AI is a very effective tool. And it's not just a buzzword. We have almost 50 cases of AI where we are trying to improve the processes, the public services, and make them more efficient. I will give you some examples. For example, the unemployment insurance fund. When a person in Estonia is unemployed, then the insurance fund tries to find them a new job. They have consultants who try to match the job seekers with the right job. Estonia has implemented AI in trying to find suitable jobs for these people. And actually, this AI system has been more efficient than a real-life consultant. Another good example is, as you can see the background image here, in Estonia, when the farmers maintain their fields, then the EU pays support for taking care of their land. So we have to find out if the farmers have been maintaining their fields in order to get this EU support. So before, we would have inspectors just drive around the country to each field and check if it has been maintained. Now we have satellite images, and there is AI that is checking from the satellite images if the farm is maintained correctly and if the farmer is eligible for support. And a third topic which we are really focusing on in the future, which is very popular in the world, I know, is personalized medicine. So in Estonia, all our data is online and also our medical records. And if all my diagnoses and all my test results are online, then we can use this information to also offer personal services to the patients, to the citizens. And one good thing in Estonia is that almost 20% of grown-ups have given their gene sample to the Estonian Gene Foundation. So we can also utilize the information from the gene samples to offer personalized medicine in the future. I would like to share some of the lessons that we have learned during these 20+ years in building the e-government in Estonia. So first of all, keep it short and simple, because the citizens who are using those services and who you want to use the services online are from different demographics, different backgrounds, they have different computer skills. So keep the functionality simple, keep the communication simple. And this also relates to the service design. You have to make the services, the online services, user-friendly in order for them to use it. Because otherwise, you will just build expensive services that nobody will use. Another important thing is that transparency works. You might wonder, and a lot of governments and corporations ask us, how do Estonians trust their personal data with the government? Well, they trust this because there is transparency. Every Estonian citizen can go to a state portal and they can see who has looked at their data, which institution looked at the data, which part of their personal data, and why it was looked at. And if there is no valid reason for it, the citizen can make a request. And if there is no explanation, then there will be an investigation, and this organization or person who looked at the data can get fined or even lose their job. And there have been some cases like this. So basically, the data is open for many organizations to see, but there are very strict mechanisms to stop them from seeing it. So this is why we trust our data with the government. And I would also add public-private partnership. In Estonia, in the early days, we didn't have the know-how in the public sector. So the government was smart enough to reach out to the private sector, where there was a lot of innovation ongoing. So please also, when you consider e-services, please also consider the private sector, because that's where a lot of know-how and innovation takes place. This is it from my side. If you have any questions regarding the e-government in Estonia, then please feel free to contact us at e-Estonia.com. Thank you very much.
Visit Estonia would like to invite you to learn more about traveling to Estonia for your next holiday and give you reasons and tips on how to explore Estonia. This time you will learn about sustainable Estonia and green destinations that are located around the country. Learn about unspoiled and healing nature, about our timeless culture, and of course, amazing food. Whilst travel is still being on hold, it is never too soon to gather inspiration. Estonia, it's about time. Investments from Japan to Estonia have been growing year after year. Next up, you'll hear a presentation about the Estonian business environment and why it's highly valued among foreign investors. You'll also hear about e-Residency and several cooperation and investment examples between Japan and Estonia. Estonia is not only about IT. We have many products and solutions we can offer to Japan. So during the next hour, you'll hear presentations by Woodhouse, organic, electronics, creative, and food industry. It's moderated by Ms. Eveli Vensley from Enterprise Estonia.